When I decided to buy this land in Maine, I had just turned 50. I was living in Portland, Oregon, and I built a real nice life for myself. I was comfortable, but I didn't feel like I was doing anything that mattered to me. I didn't have a mission, I guess I would say. And that really was eating at me. And so, I guess in my, fumbling around trying to find one of the things that happened was I started to think about how I've come back to this place in Maine for like 10 years. I used to live here about 10 years ago in a small town nearby, and I just kept coming back. I would come back to visit for like a week every single year. And so it was really clear to me that there was something about this place that was a fit for me and that it kept calling me. And then I started thinking about the idea of just buying land with nothing on it and building. And all of a sudden, it felt meaningful. Like the idea of coming out here, buying a piece of land that had nothing on it, and just starting from scratch and building, it felt like it mattered. I can't tell you exactly why doing this feels so meaningful to me, which is a little vulnerable to say, but usually it's nice to know why you're doing something, but I can't tell you exactly why. I just know it feels meaningful. And I also know that when I build things, it kind of works things out in my head. It reminds me when I was in my 20s, I bought a 1970 Volkswagen Beetle. The thing was basically in boxes, and I rebuilt it from scratch. It took me something like 10 months to do it, and it was hard work. But when I was done, I felt so connected to that car. It was such a different experience than just buying a car and jumping in it and driving. I'm gonna try to do as much as I can on my own, but I'm definitely gonna ask for help if I need it, because I'm no backwoodsman, and if you put me out here naked with a hunting knife, I'd be dead in a week. So I will tap, expert resources when necessary to be able to help me make decisions that aren't totally stupid. But as much as possible, I'm gonna be out here trying to do things that involve me making decisions about acquiring the basic resources necessary for survival. So it's entirely possible this is me solving my midlife crisis by building a house. So hopefully I'll figure that out and have a house to show for it. And along the way, I'm gonna document what I do. So let's get to it. The excavator operator was a little bit concerned about, you can see maybe if you look up there, there's hydraulic lines that go out to be able to make the bucket operate. So he's a little bit concerned that all these branches that are up in here on his way in on the driveway might snag and snap those lines. So I'm gonna do a little bit of clearing here to make sure he can get through into the main area. All done cutting the branches. Looks like a pretty straight shot now for him to get in here without hitting anything. That felt a little dangerous, just standing right underneath him and sawing. Once the culvert's put into place, we'll have to put something over top of it so that cars and such can drive over. So I'm standing at the top of the road that leads back to my place, and in a few minutes, a giant truck full of 1.5-inch crushed gravel is going to pull up, and I'll lead him down there, and we'll dump that gravel in preparation for putting it over top of the culvert. So for about the past 2 weeks, I've been staying overnight in my car on this property that you see behind you. And it's been really great. I've really enjoyed sleeping in my car in the middle of the woods. The one bummer is that this actually isn't my property. It's a property across the road. My property is actually right there. The good news is that my excavator finished the installation of the culvert today, which means I'll be able to drive on my property and actually sleep on it for the first time tonight. It took my excavator about 4 days to complete his work. And so let's have a quick walkthrough about what we got accomplished. So he put in a driveway from the road up to where the building's going to be, and a parking spot for me. We installed a culvert to get over the ditch alongside the road and threw down some gravel and packed it down so that I could get my car in and out pretty easily right now. And then in the main area, he basically just leveled everything out. There was a bunch of stumps and it was very uneven, so he just sort of made it all even so I don't go tripping over things in the middle of the night, and made it so I could, you know, plant some stuff if I wanted to. And then in one corner, he put a little fire pit, which is really cool because I didn't expect that. I wasn't wanting it, I didn't ask for it, but this guy was an artist and he just had this idea. We've got all these giant boulders on this land, so he took them and rearranged them and made a fire pit, and then he took some of the bigger ones and made 3 seats, and even found a flat rock and put it on top of 2 other rocks to make like a little rock table. It's pretty cool. And then he took all the stumps and piled them in a big pile for like a burn pile. He also cleared a section over here for my storage shed. So I'll have a 10 by 20 storage shed that I'll be able to put some things in. And then towards the one side of the main area, I just laid down a 26-foot circle with some agricultural lime, and he leveled that out too. So I'll have a easy spot to be able to put the building I'm going to put where I'm living. And then finally, at the bottom end of where the temporary home is going to be, he put a ditch. He just dug like a 20-foot long, 2-foot deep ditch, which the purpose of that is just to act as some simple drainage. So I'll be able to throw some rocks in there and a pipe down, and then if I put a sink or a shower in my place, I can just drain right out through that ditch and it'll be nice and clean. So this is a good example of asking for help where it made sense, because it would have taken me months to do what he did in like 13 hours. And it would have been pretty boring and backbreaking work. Not very interesting for anybody to watch, for sure. So this sort of, what it feels like is it kind of like gives me a blank canvas to start on. And whereas before I just didn't even have a canvas to start on. And so it seems perfect. I'm real happy with it.